you and me are married, someday the stork might bring us a baby. And if we're lucky, it'll look just like me.
The Case of the Babysitter was a short film from 1947. It was directed by Lambert Hillier and was produced by Robert Lippert's Screen Guild Productions. A duke and a duchess hire the Ace Detective Agency to babysit their child. This detective team is made up of Tom Neal as Russ Ashton, Pamela Blake as Susan Hart, and Allen Jenkins as the lovable goofball Harvard. And they are the dutiful team taking care of this babysitting assignment. But it turns out that there's much more going on here, as there's a caper involving rival jewel thieves who are in pursuit of a stolen diamond. When the ace detectives figure out that there's something suspicious going on, can they get to the bottom of things? Well, this film, more of a featurette, runs only 41 minutes, so I'll keep the summary brief, and I'll let you go and check this one out for yourself to see how the film ends. It's basically a short sequel to the film The Hatbox Mystery from 1947 that also featured the same actors, Tom Neal, Pamela Blake, and Allen Jenkins. I've reviewed some Lippert films in the past on the channel, and I always get a kick out of them. As you're aware, some legendary Lippert films include cinema gems like Radar Secret Service, Rocket Ship XM, and Catwomen of the Moon. Lippert was known as the King of the Bees. Well, I watched and reviewed the first film of these two, The Hatbox Mystery, and I enjoyed it. That was a basic, brief detective mystery, and I remember what stood out to me about that one was how at the beginning of the film, the actors all speak directly to the camera and introduce themselves and their characters. I thought that was kind of different and unique. It's not something you see very often in a film. Now, they don't do it here in the Babysitter film, but I guess with only a 41-minute runtime, they really didn't have time for anything peripheral like that, I guess. Now, my thoughts on this film, The Case of the Babysitter, was that it was a fun, brief detective story about some jewel thieves dealing with rival gangs of other thieves, and the plot isn't too heavy, and there's a silly babysitting subplot involving Allen Jenkins' character, Harvard, who sort of takes charge as the babysitter. And to be honest, in a lot of ways, his character is the big star of the film, and I thought really steals most of the movie. I've really grown to enjoy his antics and find him really funny as an actor in the films that I've seen him in so far. He's just really a hoot. Yes, Tom Neal and Pamela Blake are in this film, but it's so brief. I don't know, to me it almost felt like you didn't see all that much of their characters when all was said and done. So look, if you're looking for a more serious, hard-boiled detective film, this is probably not the one. But, I thought this one had heart. It's funny, it's an enjoyable story, and again, Allen Jenkins really made this one worth watching. And it was fun to see Virginia Sale again as Harvard's long-suffering sweetheart, Veronica Hopler, who runs a little nearby cafe. Now, Rob, you might ask, why do you seek out these old, somewhat obscure films for your channel? In fact, as of the writing of this review, this film has only a handful of online reviews on the Internet Movie Database, and it doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. Why not review something like Citizen Kane or Gone with the Wind, you might ask? Well, my friends, I find that as I continue with this channel, as my fun little hobby, I go deeper and deeper into old cinema, and I find, personally, that it's these largely forgotten gems that I just enjoy discovering the most. I can't explain it. It's probably not doing any good for the YouTube algorithm. I mean, heck, the metrics say it's mostly my Tarzan reviews that get the most traffic. But, I watch what I like, and I talk about it, and that's just the way I do things. As Emerson once said, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. But that probably won't help my channel metrics any, I guess. Well, to wrap up this brief review of this silly film, The Case of the Babysitter from 1947 was a Robert Lippert goodie. It featured jewel thieves, some detective work, and most notably, Allen Jenkins as a silly babysitter, and it continues the story of the characters that were introduced in the Hatbox Mystery. It's a 41-minute investment, and you can find it on YouTube, and I thought it was an enjoyable movie, and it's one worth checking out.
And above all, you are not to indulge in lassitudes.
Don't worry, I never touch the stuff.